Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 3DO Experience, the 3DO Retrospective Podcast, where we talk about all things 3DO, 3DO console, company, and everything in between, except on this episode where we're going to bullshit a little bit because golf games take a lot of time. So I'm Bill, and this is Thrak. How you doing, Thrak?
We have like 6 of these games to play or something like that. Was it 5
Yeah.
or 6? I'm staring at them. I'm counting 5.
Yeah, it took me 2 hours to do one round of golf on the PGA Tour one, so I was like, oh no, this has got to be one of these. Isn't it?
Yeah, I've played some of these already, but my research for the show will be done later. But I did get this in the mail, which will probably be a game we do soon.
Oh, nice.
So, I for our audio listeners, it's Zadnos, the People's Party. So to round out the trilogy of game show games.
Yep,
So we'll be covering that probably after the golf games, I'd say.
Probably. I mean, I've been wanting to play that one for a while because everyone like says it's the best of the three.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, it looks like it came from the USSR, so it's got to be the best one.
See, I shared that around all the discords, and like my favorite was all the people that just posted like, "What the fuck is that?" And I'm just like it's 3DO.
What else do you expect? Exactly. So, but yeah, it's just gonna be a bullshit episode because there's a lot of golf, and I think we're both kind of busy. I got family staying in this week and probably next week. They're not leaving till after the 4th. So I'm still able to do a lot of my normal stuff, but you know how it is. So today, I guess they've been at the amusement park all day.
That's fun.
So my guess is they'll be back. They might be back when I'm recording, but they're not going to barge in or anything like that.
Yeah, I took yesterday.
At least I hope not. Otherwise, it might get real interesting later.
Yeah, I took yesterday off because so apparently because all the 2 other machinists where I work took the entire 4th of July week off, and I was late to the punch. I'm not able to take any days off next week, so I took one off this week. So
you gotta do what you gotta do. See, I don't mind working holidays because usually that just means I get more money.
Yeah. I mean, I'll have like the 4th and then like the Friday off, so I only have to work 3 days next week. So it'll be a 4-day weekend, which isn't too bad.
Sounds good. So, let's see. Have you been playing anything, Bill? We can talk some video games.
Yeah. So I'm still messing around with like my usuals. Like I'm still playing Persona 4 Golden just every now and then when I'm bored. I've been loving the shit out of the Mario Thousand Year Door remake. That has been excellent. It is honestly such a nice way to play that game now.
I agree.
Other than that, I've been on I'm trying to catch up on anime like this week because like for GNC we do a year-end like anime like roundtable of like all the shows we watched, and I don't want to be the guy with the smallest list, so I've been trying to knock a few out over these couple of weeks. But yeah, it's been all right. I've been on a CD buying kick actually lately. That's been my big thing because like I don't know, I'm getting into CDs again, and I got in the mail today. I got Filter's new album, so that's cool. And
cool.
A Face to Face album because it was cheap.
Cool, man. Cool. So I'm just over here playing this guy. I'm a Series X as normal. Been working through Doom Eternal. Nice. Very good, very hard, but very good. Just a crazy thing. I impulse bought Dragon Quest 11 on Xbox digitally, so now nice. I can actually play it. And what's funny is the quick resume. Like you can never technically pause the game, so I just had it kind of in the background, right, while I was doing other things. And then when I went to save, it's like, oh, you've been playing for 46 hours. It's like, no, I haven't. So the app's like I put like an hour and a half into it. I mean, it's Dragon Quest 11, so that's like your Persona 4. I'll just be playing it kind of off and on. But yeah. Because of our friend Aaron from the Superpod Network, he showed an Amazon link for this game that was like on sale, and I figured it was time to finally bite the bullet, and that is Sonic Origins Plus. Mm-hmm. So it was $20, brand new. I was like, yeah, why not? So It has a slipcover, has a nice little art book in the back, and all that stuff. And this is the plus version, so it has like all the extra Game Gear titles and a lot of the extra content, and I'm assuming bug fixes, because I know people complained about this being like kind of buggy at launch, but I've beaten 1 CD and 2, and I'm almost done with 3 Knuckles, and I haven't really run into any major bugs.
Did you do American or your US American or Japanese soundtrack for CD?
Oh, Japanese.
See, I like them both for like different reasons, but like also I
Oh, they're
like
both great.
alternate. I know there's some people that despise the American soundtrack, and I get it, but like there's some great tracks on that soundtrack.
Yeah, the Japanese Sonic CD soundtrack sounds like you're in like a club in like 1992, and it's just
Yeah.
like fucking thumping the whole time. Whereas the American version feels much more chilled out. It's closer to like trying to really use the CD format to get a lot of that Red Book kind of audio
Hmm.
out of it. You know what I
Like,
mean? So they both work, but it's kind of like different moods. You know?
yeah, there's like certain tracks that like I think work better on like each version. Like I still think like Stardust Speedway or whatever it's called. I think the American soundtrack is just better like on that one. I prefer the special stage music from the American version, and I really like what's the water level's name? Uh,
Yeah, I forget.
Whatever the water level's name. I like the American like present music just because it sounds like the Fresh Prince theme for some reason.
Yeah, I hear it now that you mention it. Yeah, a little bit. But like CD is it's still not my it's probably my least favorite in the set just because it's surprisingly short if you just blaze through it.
Well, yeah, because you're supposed to like Metroidvania every level and explore every little nook and cranny, which is
Yeah. For a Sonic
completely
game,
yeah.
no.
It I will say the Christian Whitehead version that is in this collection is miles better than the original Sega CD because they fixed all the clipping and like collision detection problems, which is really nice.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The retro engine. What a beast. In fact, I think it's on here. Yeah, it's right there. Retro engine. So
Mhm.
so they got it. Did Sega buy it from them? I don't think so.
Well, they rebranded. It's called the Star Engine now.
Okay. So did they buy it from them?
No, I think they've gone fully independent. They're making their own games now.
Oh, that's good. That's good because Headcanon worked on this, who also worked on Mania. So, but yeah, it works fantastically well. Like all the weird like, oh, you got to pay extra to see like the islands or whatever. Like that's not here. The Game Gear titles are good. You have the classic versions of the original games as well as the anniversary editions, which are the widescreen 60 FPS modes. You were like, there's like boss rushes, mirror modes. There's like a museum. They get rid of lives entirely.
That's
So
nice.
yeah, for the anniversary editions, and they replace them with like coins that you can either spend as currency in the museum, or this is probably the best part. In all the games, when you're at the special stage, if you fail, you can spend one of those coins to just try it again.
So here's a fun question. In terms of compilations, this is arguably the best Sonic compilation out there, but I still have a massive soft spot for Sonic Jam on Saturn.
I feel like, see, I'll never get the same feeling I got when I got Sonic Mega Collection for the GameCube. Like that was, even though I had played a lot of those games before, having all of them on one console, on one collection for like a modern system was fantastic. And then Mega Collection Plus on PS2 and Xbox, which is even better. Like that was really the compilation I think that settled the whole, oh, these games are classic, they're timeless, right? And we've had, say, Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, Sega Genesis Classics. We've had various compilations since then. I think the games have been available separately on Steam. But I would argue, as far as playing these games, this is probably the best way to play them now. Genuinely, it is. Because I was thinking, I don't know how they would repackage these games again. They'll probably figure out a way how. But really, if this is kind of all you need, because you have, like, you can play the old style. You can play them in the old style if you prefer that. The new modern style just is so faithful to the original games, but improves upon everything. Like, they remade the special stages in two, like the half pipe, and it's so much better to do. And like the quality of life feature, so it's not crazy brutally hard in some instances, even though I beat them just fine as a kid. All the extra stuff they add is great. My only downside is that it's cool that they added in the Game Gear games, but there's one game from this era that has never been ported ever,
Is
and it
it?
would have been perfect to just throw it in here as a bonus. It's Knuckles Chaotix.
Yep. Knew it.
Like, I don't know why Sega pretends this game doesn't exist. It was rumored to be in Sonic Gems collection. When that was coming out, there was a lot of games that could have been in there but were omitted, and a lot of them should have been in there, like Knuckles Chaotix, right? Like, even if it's not the best game in the series, and it's not,
No,
it's
it's
it,
a
it,
very repetitive platformer.
it has a lot of the issues I think Sonic CD has with like level design and everything, but
Yeah.
it's part of the history. Like, it introduced us to the Chaotix gang, and it has a fantastic soundtrack.
It is a
Like,
gorgeous looking 2D platformer as well.
oh, amazing. And I felt, if they weren't going to do like a full retro engine remake of it, which I think would actually be kind of neat, even just throwing it in there as a bonus would have helped kind of round it out, I think. Because that's the issue that some compilations have, is that they don't go all in,
Mm.
and it's but outside of that, it's a solid compilation now, because there were some technical issues from what I've heard and seen, but those seem to be fixed now, because I think Headcanon made enough of a stink about it to Sega that Sega were willing to fix them, to let them fix them. So if you can get it for cheap, it is well worth getting.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of re-releases, I don't know if you can see it. The TV might be there. I got the Beyond Good and Evil 20th anniversary.
Mm.
Because it was weird. They didn't announce it at the Ubisoft Forward event. They announced it later, or I think it was in the limited run games thing or whatever, which I thought was weird. It wasn't there, right? So, so when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's cool," because they had just delisted the Beyond Good and Evil HD, which I assumed it was going to be for this. And they've put a lot more work into it, from what I know. Like, there's like retexturing done. It's like 4K 60 FPS. They fixed the controls. They completely redid the soundtrack, I believe. There's like cross saves, auto saves, like all this kind of stuff. And apparently there's new content relating to Beyond Good and Evil 2. They said it for the first time in years. They referenced it when they were advertising this. And then, of course, now journalists are like, what's the state of that game? And Ubisoft's like, we're still working on it, whatever the hell that means, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, this is the most Beyond Good and Evil we've had in quite a long time. So, and when this was announced, they're like, oh, it's coming out on like Tuesday or whatever, which is the day of recording this is when it came out. And I was worried about the price, because they were touting all of this stuff that they did to it. And I was like, that sounds worthy to get, but is it going to be like a $40-$50 thing? I was afraid of that, because I'm like, I'm not paying that much for it. It's only $20.
Okay, that's fair.
And so even if they wanted to be cheeky and be like, oh, 20th anniversary, $20, hee. I doubt that. But for $20, I was like, you know what, might as well. So I haven't played it yet. I've actually never really played Beyond Good and Evil. I tried emulating it on Dolphin once, and it just wouldn't work.
It's a very hard game to explain. Like, it's a lot of people call it
Ocarina of Time, right?
It's Zelda-like, but it's really not Zelda. It's a weird game. It's good. I think some people put it on a little bit too high of a pedestal sometimes, because yeah, it's hard to explain.
Well, from what I've gathered, it's one of those games that's part of that, like, being influenced by Ocarina adventure game style.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like it gets put on a pedestal because it represents like kind of an end of an era for Ubisoft before they went like all in on like Tom Clancy and Assassin's Creed and all this other stuff. Like it
was like the turning point where Montpellier got overshadowed by Montreal, basically.
Yeah, basically. Like this has more connections to Rayman, which actually makes sense because the creator of the Rayman series created
Show
Beyond Good and
and
Evil.
Cell, I believe.
Yes. And he's retired, I believe.
He's retired and he has some not great stuff surrounding him, from what I've heard. But
oh,
so apparently
oh,
everyone at
great. Oh, great.
apparently everybody at Ubisoft does those. So
Yeah, I've heard rough things about Ubisoft. But yeah, this game it weirdly gets put on a pedestal, I think, because it represents like this weird, like transitiony period for Ubisoft, and it's a series they didn't milk to death, so it allowed for people to get fondness over it. And then when they announced the prequel for it, I think Beyond Good and Evil 2 was announced officially in 2008, I believe.
that
2008.
sounds about right.
And then like it was announced, and then I think there was like a trailer or two leading up to it, but then it was like, I think it was E3 2017 when they had the big unveiling. Like, here's like gameplay, here's like a playable demo, the works, right? Like, it was the big coming out party for it, and the reception was not positive for it
No,
at all.
it didn't look anything like Beyond Good and Evil.
It looked like a Ubisoft game, which
Yeah.
is not what people wanted from Beyond Good and Evil 2. And and because of that, it went into hiding, which is something I've noticed with Ubisoft. Whenever they get like heavy criticism for projects like this, they don't just outright abandon and cancel them. They just retreat them inward and try to figure it out before they show it again, like what they're doing currently with the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake, which I pray to God doesn't happen. It doesn't get Beyond Good and Evil 2. I mean, it's a remake, so I don't know. Like that's coming out in 2 years. So it's going to take them like 7 years to remake a PS2 game. I think Ubisoft are a little too bloated, in my opinion.
Ubisoft is a confusing developer to me. Like, you got like Montreal's over there, and they can just pump out games every 3 minutes, and then like,
but they have like 30s. They have so many studios around the world, and all of them get credited on like every major game that they do.
Yeah, they have like 2 major studios, and then they have like 1,000 support studios that just kind of like help
all over the world.
Yeah,
which I mean is cool, but yeah, it must suck if you work at like Ubisoft, like one of the smaller Ubisofts in like, I don't know,
Shanghai or something,
Shanghai, Kyiv or whatever, because it's like you don't get to pitch any. I'm sure there are people in those studios who are trying to pitch ideas for like new games or whatever, but I don't know how the industry works. But I imagine if you work at a support studio, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah,
like
it's probably
you're a background player, you're just helping out, like, you don't get to pitch ideas. But I think that's really unfair, because I guarantee you people at all those studios have ideas for games that could be really cool, probably.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's a cool idea, but you're gonna go port Donald Duck going quackers now. Have fun.
Not a bad game.
No, it's not.
No, it's like, oh, we appreciate you wanting to do that, but we have like 500 Assassin's Creed games that need to come out, so get working on those, that kind of thing. Because when Shadows comes out, it's gonna say, oh, Ubisoft Montreal or whatever, but it'll say, oh, support from like all 20 studios.
Yeah.
So that's how they pump them out every year or two.
And then there's Rockstar that remember when Rockstar made like 20 games a year or a generation?
Yeah, I did. Those were the good days when they had different ideas. But the industry has changed so much since the PS2 era, Like back then you had to constantly make fresh new games because that was how the industry was. That's what we grew up on was, oh, there's a new game, we'll buy it or rent it, play it, hopefully beat it, and then we move on to the next thing. It's like, say, reading a book or listening to albums or, watching anime or whatever. It's like you do the thing and then you move on to the next one. But the industry now, like there's so many games now that are just a handful of games that suck up a lot of money and a lot of time because they're never ending. And now it's like every developer's trying to chase that now. And it's not sustainable because even the handful of games that have been able to do it, they're going to run out eventually. Like it might be crazy to say, but there might be a time where people stop playing Minecraft, where they stop playing Fortnite, where they stop playing Apex. You know what I mean? Like they'll eventually go away. And what are they going to get replaced by? Different versions? Something entirely different, going back to how things used to be. That I don't see. So,
Yeah.
it's just the industry is in such a weird spot. So it's in some ways it's harder if you're in a AAA studio to pitch these new interesting ideas because I bet you there's some good games to be made out of there. I'm sure of it. Like I'm sure and that's the thing. Ubisoft in general doesn't make bad games. Like not really. Some of their games are very good.
Hmm.
They make bad stuff, of course, but I'd say like if you compare them to say EA or Activision, I would say their batting average is probably a little bit higher.
Yeah, it's rare that a studio has never had a bad game. Like I'm trying to think off the top of my head of a
I wouldn't
of like
say Ubisoft's never had a bad game,
yeah.
but I just think their batting average is a little higher than some of the others.
That's actually an interesting topic because like I was thinking about that a while ago, like because there's some people who will praise certain studios as never having a bad game, and then I'll be like, you forgot about this particular game that they like to forget.
Well,
Like,
and also some people only think about like the now.
hmm,
Like for some people, the concept of Rockstar having a bad game, just they're like, no, that's impossible. And it's like, no, they've made bad games. It's called GTA 5. No, no, no,
no.
no.
State of emergency, maybe.
I Yeah, those are fine. Like I have more issues with Red Dead 2, but a lot of people like that game. Though it didn't pop off the way I think they were expecting it to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Looking through, let's see. Yeah,
Like I
Earthworm.
was,
They're involved in Earthworm Jim 3D. Didn't they? Oh, because they published it over
yeah, they
here.
published it.
That's so fucking weird.
I was thinking because what sparked this was like someone had said like Insomniac Games has never had a bad game. I'm like, you forgot about.
Nah.
I'm like, you forgot about Fuse. Fuse wasn't good.
Yeah. Let's see.
Um,
Rockstar was involved in those weird Austin Powers Game Boy games. Those were bad. A Smuggler's Run. That's not a great game.
no, the sequel was better, but it was
But
an
nobody cared at that point
yeah. It
because
was just another
GTA
race.
3 came out. So
Yeah,
at that point, nobody gave a shit.
it was an edgy racing game, but they already had Midnight Club, so it was like
Exactly. So, but yeah, Rockstar was in a they're also in a weird spot because it's also another thing that I think what makes the industry unhealthy is that like everybody's waiting for GTA 5 to give the industry the GTA 6 to get the boost, right? Because like sales are kind of down a little bit, right? So everyone's like, "Oh, GTA 6 is going to come in and boost like hardware sales and software sales, all this stuff." And it's like it probably will. Like I imagine PS5s and Xboxes series, they will start selling more when GTA 6 comes out.
hmm.
So I'm pretty sure that's not going to be on the old gen. I don't think so.
I'd hope not, just because it'd be like
I doubt it.
it would
I
feel like such a step back.
Yeah, I doubt it. And usually Rockstar has no issue going just straight into the next gen. They don't really do that. But I don't think it's good for an industry to rely on one game to prop it up.
Yes, I
Because
mean,
GTA 6, it'll probably be a good game,
oh no,
but
I feel like it'll be a good game, but I don't think it's going to be the astronomical success that Five was.
it's gonna sell very well though.
No,
Like
it will.
like what the hell is GTA 5 sales at? They've got to be like crazy at this point.
I know it's not the best selling game ever, just because I think Minecraft is still like just permanently up
Let's
there now. But
see. It is at 200 million sales. Minecraft's
yeah,
at 300 million. So like GTA 6 is not going to sell 200 million, but I think even Rockstar knows that.
yeah,
That it'll probably my guess is it'll probably do like 10 15 million the first day. That would be my guess.
yeah. I'd
And
assume.
then it'll probably hit like the top 10. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it crossed 100 million, but it's not going to get those GTA 5 numbers. But with how the industry is that going to be seen as a failure because it didn't meet the same expectations as before? That I don't know. It'll probably be $70, so maybe that'll help cover that cost. But again, it's like it's GTA,
Rocks,
man. It's gonna be fine.
yeah,
Like,
Rockstar
and
is
Rockstar
more,
knows they'll be fine.
yeah, they're more sensible about that stuff. They're not like fucking.
That's why they haven't made a game since 2018,
Yeah,
like a
I
brand new
know,
game.
I know, and that's
I
sad.
mean, we had the trilogy come out, and that was a nightmare. And then fucking what else have they? They haven't done much else since then,
No,
really.
they've just kept developing five.
Let's see. Let me check. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, there's Red Dead in 2018. Red Dead Online came out a year later. We got the definitive edition of the trilogy in 21. And then you got GTA 5's coming out late next year. And then also, oh yeah, the Max Payne 1 and 2 remake. I believe they're publishing that for Remedy,
Yeah,
which is
it's.
which is nice.
I mean, they technically have the publishing rights to this series still, I
They
believe,
do. Yep.
because
That they do.
they made the third one entirely.
That they did. And a lot of people say it's the best in the series. I say it's the best playing in the
It's the
series.
best. It's the best gameplay wise. I
Oh,
still,
1000%. The
I,
story is garbage. I hate the
yeah,
story of it. So, like the further I get from it, and then whenever I think about Max Payne 3, I'm like, man, I hated that story.
I love one story so much just because it's so
I love two.
ridiculous.
I love two
Two's is good
story.
too.
Two
Two's is
story
good
is
too.
beautiful because I think it like the idea of two. It felt like it was trying to put all of his like Max's pain to rest, kind of thing. Like that was the fall of Max Payne. You know what I mean? Like that's what it was trying to do. And the ending is very him being like, I can move on from this. I can, learn to live again, kind of thing. And then Max Payne 3 just says, nah, fuck that. Fuck that. He gets worse and goes to Brazil.
Yeah,
Like it to me, 3 feels like a sequel to 1, not to 2. As a sequel to 1, it fits perfectly if you ignore 2, but it's just me.
yeah.
Wasn't
Are
I
you
talking about Beyond Good and Evil?
Yeah. Are
But
you into Metal Gear at all, or
yeah, a little bit.
what's your
But
thoughts on the remake of 3?
it I think it looks solid, but but it's Konami, so I won't
Yeah,
believe it until I have it in my hands.
I'm just so skeptical about it. Kojima not being involved at all, which I mean might actually be good because Kojima is. I love the guy, but he's fucking insane. Um,
I think because this is a remake, not having Kojima there will be fine because they already have a game to base it on, right? Because we already had Metal Gear Survive, which didn't work.
no.
Um, though, from what I know of Survive, I think if you took the Metal Gear part out of
Yeah,
it, people would have been like, it's whatever, right?
it's another
It,
zombie game.
yeah, but it was the connection to Metal Gear and all the controversy that surrounded it that hurt that game, unfortunately. But yeah, but with Delta, Snake Eater, I mean, remaking Snake Eater makes the most sense because it's like the most popular game in the series, I think.
Yeah, it's arguably the best in the series. Well, I mean, 4 is the greatest movie I've ever played. But,
It's no Night Trap. Um, yeah, I have issues before. Like this whole series, I really want to like it more. I've dabbled in the series a lot over the years. I've only ever beaten 3. Um, and I have all of them. I have them all of them on my Xbox, I think. So it's eventually I will do a complete playthrough of the entire thing. Like I'll go in chronological release order.
hmm.
Like I'll do all of them eventually. But
I mean, I still
um,
think MGS1 is like just one of the best games ever made, but
it
that's a bit that might just be like biased because I loved it as a kid.
well, I did play the PS1 version when I had my PS2 because I was able to find a copy of it for like $20 or something like that. And I played through all of disc 1 and got a little bit through disc 2. So I never properly finished it, but I do remember liking it for what it was. Like it's definitely aged, but
Yeah,
it's still a like a really solid story. Um
great acting for the time.
yeah, great acting, the whole having Meryl's codex on the back of the case, which I confused me for so long, it was ridiculous. Like it's still very very well done. And I know some people aren't too high on the Twin Snakes remake, but I like the Twin Snakes remake.
I love how over the top it is.
Yeah, which is all Kojima. So just blame
Yeah.
him. That's what he wanted, and he got it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I still
apparently Miyamoto helped out on this one.
yeah,
Apparently,
he was well cuz apparently it was some sort of like Miyamoto and Kojima are buddies, I guess. So
that doesn't surprise me at all.
I still think one of my favorite jokes in 4 is like when you're at Shadow Moses and like you get to a certain point and Otacon pops up and he's like, Snake, you got to change the disc. And Snake's
Yeah,
like,
and
well,
he's like, "Wait, it's a Blu-ray. You don't have to change the disc."
this is a Blu-ray on a PlayStation 3 console. You don't have to do anything.
And
Bye bye.
every time they do that, it's always David Hayter going, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah. Or like
Every
when you
time.
or when you fight Psycho Mantis again and he's like, what? Wireless? Internal hard drive? What is this? Just goofy
uh,
shit like that.
yeah, it's very very breaking the fourth wall kind of stuff. And 4 is probably my least favorite in the series of what I've played, just because it's just I don't know, man.
I don't know. Gameplay wise, I think it was perfect, but like the story is so weird and it like
It goes too far. Like gameplay wise, I would say 5 is the best as
well,
far
yeah,
as like playing a game. It's fucking great.
true.
It's like Breath of the Wild on steroids, man. Like it's fucking insane. But the problem with 5 comes in with like the story.
The fact that
And
it's completely unfinished.
yeah, and even what we have is kind of batshit. Like that was the time where you could tell people were stopped. People wouldn't tell Kojima no anymore, which
Yeah.
is an issue that a lot of creative people run into at a certain point when they get so big and so renowned that people are afraid to tell them no. And even if, say, those people want to hear no, and those people like to be contested, you get like an aura around them that people then get afraid to sort of contest it, you know? So I think that's kind of what happened with Kojima and then, like Death Stranding and things like that. I
Yeah.
haven't played Death Stranding.
It's
I'd like to play it at some point. Probably when I get a PS5, I'll get it and play it. But
I always say it is
when I
like
had
one
my
of
PS4, I wasn't interested in
yeah.
playing it.
To me, like Death Stranding to me is like it is both one of the greatest and one of the worst video games I've ever played. Like it is
Yeah,
something else.
yeah. So, but the Snake Eater remake, for some reason, Wikipedia has it as coming out this year. I highly doubt that. I think they'll push it to next year. Why not? Like hell, 2025 shaping up to be kind of a banger year with everything that's scheduled to come out then. Like, holy fuck, man.
Yeah, I mean the Nintendo Direct alone, holy shit.
I
You want to hear
mean,
more
I mean,
about
if
that?
yeah, go to the Superpod Network YouTube channel where we went on a double date with Aaron and Jerry and talked about it.
Yes, we did.
So, um, but even that with like potentially like the next Switch coming out next year, and who knows what the launch lineup's going to be for that, you know? Like damn, like next year is probably going to be kind of insane for gaming.
Pray for your wallets. That's all I can say.
Oh, fuck, man. Like, if the new Switch is backwards compatible, I will buy it day one,
Mm.
and then I will give my old Switch to somebody so that they can have it, and then I will have my new one. That is the plan.
Yeah. Ugh.
But but yeah. Snake Eater. I'm sure it'll be fine. I have more confidence in this than the Silent Hill 2 remake.
It's weird how like
The Silent Hill 2 remake does not look good.
no, it looks
Oh
it look
god.
to be honest, I was expecting worse, but it still doesn't look very good.
Yeah, and I don't hate it for like the weird anti-woke reasons some people have for it. Like that's just dumb. It's just I see it and I'm just like I don't know, man. I
It
don't
just
know.
it doesn't feel like Silent Hill. That's kind
It,
of my
it
whole thing.
it feels like it's trying way too hard to be Resident Evil 2 remake.
Which to me bothers the fuck out of me because Silent Hill was never like Resident Evil.
Even though it was born to be Konami's answer to Resident Evil.
Yeah,
Like that's why
but
Silent Hill exists. But what helped Silent Hill was they went in a different direction.
they
And
went
that's what made
psychological versus horror
and
versus
that
story. Yeah,
and that's what made it stand out. Like it doesn't have the weird tank control-y fixed camera perspectives. Like its gameplay is different enough as well. Like it does enough things to stand out and be its own thing. But it just further proves the idea that Silent Hill hasn't been good since they broke up Team Silent. You
Yeah,
know,
because I mean,
like that era was like those first 4 games are fucking good, man.
they really are. I mean, Origin was an okay attempt. Like I gave a little credit.
Origins is interesting.
Like they tried on that one. Like Climax did a
Yeah.
pretty good job. I
Yeah,
won't lie
I
there.
thi- oh yeah, and Sam Barlow is involved in Origins and I believe Homecoming as well.
Hmm.
So, or no, not Homecoming. Shattered Memories.
Yeah, Homecoming was fine, but it didn't feel
Yeah,
like Silent Hill. It was just an action game.
yeah. Homecoming. I think I might play it this year for Halloween because I haven't and I need to try it out. But yeah, like I know Origins and Shattered Memories. Sam Barlow was big on those, which probably explains why those two are seen kind of higher. You know, like Sam Barlow's a guy they could have given the Silent Hill series to like be its babysitter, and he would have went in a different direction with it, but I think it would have been for the benefit of the series.
Yeah, I think the
But it's a
weakest
what if kind of thing.
yeah, the weakest of the post Team Silent games was definitely Downpour.
Downpour's rough. That fucking Vita one.
Oh, yeah, that exists.
What is it called again?
Book of Memories.
Book of Memories. Yeah. It's
One
like
of
a
the
dungeon. It's a dungeon crawler, I think,
dungeon crawler beat 'em up.
made by Way Forward.
They had to pay the bill somehow.
Oh god, it feels like the most paying the bills kind of game they've ever made.
I felt so bad because Daniel Light did a like really valiant attempt at like the soundtrack for those two games, and like because I remember everyone gave him so much shit because they fired Yamamoto or Yakamoto, whatever his name was,
Yeah,
and they brought in Daniel Light from Dexter fame, and like they shat on the guy. And I listened to the soundtracks. I'm like, he did a pretty good job. I'm not gonna lie.
it's just like Yamaoka is so like he's
Yamaoka.
just like Team Silent is so revered that
Mhm.
everybody involved in it is like like that team is kind of, you want to talk about being put on a pedestal. I feel like that team is put on a pedestal
What's funny is one of
for
the
what they were able to
guys
do, which is crazy because some people don't even like Silent Hill 4, but I liked The Room for what it was.
people have grown on the room over the
It
years.
Yeah, it was kind of weird at first, but the deeper you get into it, I don't like the escort mission aspect of it, but the weird psychological aspects that it throws at you, I think, is done pretty well. And it doesn't feel like a send off of Team Silent, but it just kind of became one. You know, I don't know if they were going to do a fifth Silent Hill. They probably would have, but
Because I know the founder of Team Silent, he only was around for the first Silent Hill because he later left to join Sony, where
they
that's
did
where
Siren.
Siren, that's a batshit insane game as well.
Yeah, our boy. Speaking of Superpod, our boy Tommy played it many years ago, and it was referenced on their most recent episode that Tommy did a playthrough of it. And he doesn't like spooky games, and they threw him Siren. Oh
Spoiler
boy,
warning on who the mystery guest is.
it's been long enough. Okay,
I know, I knew from the second. I'm like, I wonder who that's gonna be.
yeah, but yeah, y'all should watch that because it's pretty funny.
Hmm.
It is funny to watch people who aren't into spooky games play spooky games.
Well,
So
especially because Siren is such a weird one.
it is. It is. I remember when I saw Siren, I was like, there's no way this series is gonna last. Like, no
And
way.
it really didn't because we only got one more in a remake.
Yeah,
So
it was just one of those kind of situations, you know?
yeah, Siren 2, ironically, is even more fucking batshit insane, but we didn't get that
Yeah.
one.
And that's the thing. Silent Hill isn't batshit insane. Like it does weird things, but I wouldn't call it batshit, you know?
Yeah.
Uh
I think there's a reason he left because I think they were too restrained on
yeah,
Team Silent.
but that's what makes like 2 and 3 so fucking good is how restrained they are. You
What's
know,
funny is
like
though,
the best horror leaves certain things up to your imagination because any good horror creator will tell you what is the scariest thing is what the audience has in their head. Anything you put on screen will never match what they have in here. It'll never. So you do just enough to kind of like instill that in their head and then you let them run with it. And that's what always works.
oh
That's
yeah,
the best horror.
It's why Pyramid Head was such an effective villain, and then they fucking beat that into the ground very
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah, it reminds me of I guess to throw a geek addicts reference, it's like the Borg with Star Trek. You know,
Yeah,
like it's such an amazing idea for a villain, especially in the Star Trek series, that I think we all knew that they were going to kill it. They were just going to beat it to death, and they have.
yeah,
The Borg are still great, but you know they weren't they weren't, you know, the Klingons or the Romulans or even the Ferengi, where they were able to sort of intermingle them to make them kind of their own thing. Like the Borg had to just stay the Borg, but it never happened,
yeah. The
unfortunately.
Borg were so iconic. They were referenced by Star Fox of all things.
Oh yeah, I mean, I imagine Star Fox probably has more Star Trek references in it.
I always, whenever you play Assault, it's always like this is just the Borg. It's just the Borg,
Yep,
but it's
that's who you're
great.
playing as. Yeah, and it's fucking awesome. So
The Pigma space station canon is still the most fucking weirdest part of that game.
yeah. Oh, apparently going back to Silent Hill, somebody asked Yamaoka if Team Silent would ever reunite. He said he's not against the idea, but he's like, I don't know if it would work. And to be fair, I don't think it would work
It wouldn't work
because
with Konami these days.
no, and it's like it was such a ragtag team when it was created, anyways. You
Hmm.
know, like they were this kind of ramshackle thing, kind of just off to the side, doing its thing, while Konami was focusing more upon like Metal Gear and Castlevania and I don't know, Bomberman. Um, so
Yeah,
so like after the four games, they just kind of dissolved, you know, because I don't know why Konami thought having Western devs make these games would be better. I don't know. I don't get that because it's not like Capcom did that with Resident Evil. Like
no,
it was always Japanese based.
the only Resident Evil games that were made by Western studios were like the spin-offs, like
Like Dead Aim.
I think maybe I know Operation Raccoon City was made by Slant Six Games. I know that one.
Yeah, so like all the shitty ones.
Yeah,
It's just the truth, man.
I'm trying to think of were there any other ones like
I'd have to look to find because I don't have the Resident Evil series memorized in my head.
who made the Wii ones? Were those made by Capcom? Because those were okay.
Well, I was
The
thinking,
Umbrella Chronicles and the Dark Side Chronicles. The
oh, Dark Side Chronicles. That's what I was thinking of. That was Capcom and a company called Cavia.
oh, Cavia. It's the Drakengard guys.
Oh,
Bullet Witch. You know.
yeah, but they're still Japanese.
Yeah. So that's why those ones were good, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, like Capcom's. I mean, Resident Evil's been predominantly a Japanese series, so I think it just comes down to this. This is probably not going to be a hot take at all. That like Capcom is just a better run business than Konami is. You know,
Well,
like
Capcom had their massive fuck up moment, and then they like
well,
fixed.
they were able to bounce back because they were always focused on like just making good games. That's what they were always that was always their focal point. It, like Nintendo. Like their focus is let's just if we make good games, we'll be fine. Right?
Honestly, I think the biggest problem at Capcom was actually Inafune more than anything, because Inafune was the one that
Yeah.
he was the big
He didn't really know what
pro.
he was doing.
No, he was the big pro American, like pro Western developers, I should say.
Yeah.
Because like I remember he's like, let's make these three awesome series, and then let's farm them out to different studios and see if they stick.
But even when they had like a Western series like Dead Rising, you know, it eventually kind of shit the bed, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I would love for Dead Rising to come back.
Dead
You know?
Rising 2 is still one of my favorite, just stupid games to play because there's just
Yeah.
something funny about how that game works.
Mm-hmm. And I think honestly, it would benefit. I wouldn't even be surprised if, say, like Microsoft went to Capcom and said, "Hey, people associate Dead Rising with the Xbox, so let's maybe get together and make Dead Rising 5, and you know, make it Xbox exclusive because people kind of associate them together, anyways. You know, like
Mm.
I think that would be cool." But does Capcom want to touch that series again? Because Capcom
Nah,
Vancouver doesn't exist anymore.
and 4 was
So
pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not a terrible game, but it's the weakest in the series. So
Comparing it to like 2 or 3, it's like ooh.
yeah, or two off the record, which two off the record might be my favorite of the bunch
Mm,
actually.
yeah,
Just having Frank West instead is cool.
yeah,
I've covered wars, you know.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I need to sit down and like play through those stories, you know, get the whole experience. So yeah, it's a shame with like Dead Rising, but you know what can you do? Because does Capcom even have like a Western studio anymore?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Because the biggest, as far as I know, was Vancouver when they were like Blue Castle Games, right? And then
Yeah,
I don't even think they have anymore. I'd have to check.
I still think the funniest thing is Inafune's studio. Concept is now part of Level 5.
That is weird.
They're like Level 5 Concept now. It's weird.
That is very weird.
I don't even know what they're making, but
I mean, I know what level five's making, but I don't know
Level
if they're
5 Level 5 makes good games. I don't know what the Concept studio is doing.
well, mostly they make good games. They do falter here and there. But you know, what can you do?
True.
But I think with level five, it's more of they'll forever be a niche Japanese developer. And I think they'll never get out of that mindset. You know, like Atlas has gotten out of that mindset. From Software has gotten out of that mindset. I don't think level five will ever, but at the same time, I don't think level five will ever have that kind of success.
Yeah, like because Level Five's biggest like games I can think of are Dragon Quest VIII, which most people don't even realize they made. Um, the Professor Layton series.
Mm-hmm.
Izuma 11's apparently huge, but people in
In
America just don't.
Japan,
Yeah, people in America
in
don't care
Japan,
because it's soccer RPG.
yeah, they got
Um,
missed. Well, it's a Mr. Big situation. It's very popular in Japan. Here, nobody gives a flying fuck.
yeah. Well, apparently the most recent one did come out over here, so I mean
Oh yeah,
that's something.
Victory. Well, the one they're working on now is called Victory Road. It has a release date for this year, but if I remember correctly, they didn't. Did they show any of it at their event? I don't know. I don't think they did because they had that level five event. I think it was last year, wasn't it? The
Yeah,
like live stream, and I don't think they showed this game because they showed Professor Layton, they showed Deca Police, which I think looks really fucking cool, and they showed that Fantasy Life game, I think,
oh yeah, they're making a sequel to Fantasy Life, which I'm fine with.
which
That's
I
cool.
think came out already.
I I don't know. I
The
stopped
was it
following it.
the girl who steals time? Because I think that was in a direct. I think.
Hmm.
But it did get released. Yeah, I Fantasy Life doesn't look like it's for me, anyways. But oh yeah, they have the Megaton Musashi games, which people tend to like. I mean, I Nino Kuni 1 is probably like one of my favorite RPGs ever made. So
I mean, they made Dark Cloud 1 and 2, which is still like my
oh
favorite
yeah,
Zelda games.
yeah, those are pretty dope. Rogue Galaxy is fucking awesome. Jean d'Arc on
John
PSP.
John Dark, I love that game so much.
That is a cool fucking game. Yeah, they make a lot of really cool niche things, and Yokai Watch, which could have been the true Pokemon competitor
You know,
had level five not shit the bed on it.
what's funny is I was just talking about this with a friend because some my friend he brought up what happened to what was the Pokemon killer that came out like a week ago that no one gives a shit about?
Power World.
Pal World. They were like, "What happened to Pal World?" I'm like, "Oh, people stopped giving a shit." And he's like, "Oh, what? How could that be?" I'm like, "Because it was a niche fad for like a minute." And I'm like, Nintendo was really smart here because everyone was like, "Nintendo is totally going to sue," and I'm like, "No, they're not. They took one look at this and ignored it because they realized if they made a stink about it, that would have brought attention to it. They knew for a fact this was going to die off in about a month. So
Yeah, Nintendo knows what the Streisand effect is.
yeah,
And that's
Nintendo.
exactly what would have happened to Power World if Nintendo went after it. Everybody would have started playing it.
Yeah, because Nintendo took one look and went, yeah,
No.
not a. It'll be the fad of the month, and we'll move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, Yokai Watch, I think could have actually been a competitor. Like, I haven't played them, but I know people who have and really like them, and
I
and they're still waiting for Yokai Watch 4 to get a English translation and a port over here. It's gonna happen any day, folks. Any
I
day.
I think
It's only been
Yokai
5 years.
yeah. I think Yokai Watch's biggest problem was it came out too early.
I think it came out too late.
I don't know, like that whole like Japanese like anime still hadn't really hit its like mega boom yet by that point, and like I just feel like it kind of like by the time it actually started gaining traction, it was too late.
The problem I found with Yokai Watch was it took them too long to get the translations over here.
Mm.
So that by the time they officially got released over here, the people who were interested in them from their Japanese release, say people would make a fan translation or they would, import them or whatever, right? So by the time they did come over here, a lot of the people who would have waited for it had already played it. And it just we're at a time now where it's like delaying a Japanese and an English release of a game that long, like sometimes like 2 years. Like you can't do that anymore. Like we're too connected for that to really like go by. Like somehow Dragon Quest got away with it, but I think that length of time between the original 11 and 11S is kind of, I mean, even though 11 did come over here, but I think like Dragon Quest 11 was almost proving that like you kind of have to do a simultaneous worldwide release, because I think that's why 11 wasn't the big like FF7 moment for Dragon Quest. It almost was. Like it was so close, but it just didn't break through like I think it could have. And
Yeah.
with 12 coming out eventually, maybe next year, um it will be like everywhere day one,
I mean
because you
that's
kind of
kind of
have to
why
now.
Persona 5 ended up being Atlas's FF7 moment, because
Oh yeah.
that came out I think over here first.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
And plus they had delayed that game for 3 years to the point where it became a meme, and with that becoming a meme, people started like hearing more about it, And I think Persona came at like the right time
oh yeah,
for
because
people to
people
really, get crazy with it. And just checking the Wikipedia, in Japan it came out September 15th, 2016, and then it came here April 4th, 2017.
okay,
So
so they were
about
very close.
6 months, I'd say, roughly
Yeah,
like a
it
6 month
was
window, which I think is enough to get away with it, you know?
yeah. I mean, because they had a bunch of translation stuff they had to do anyways, so it makes sense why it would take that
Yeah.
long.
Yeah, but by the time, say, Persona 5 Royal was getting ported to everything, it just happened all at once.
Yeah,
Which, here it is. Haha. It's so
nice.
weird to see, isn't it? With the fucking this guy in the corner.
See,
Sadly it's the European version, but oh well. I just don't like having this down here because I think
yeah,
it gets in
they're
the way of the
rating.
artwork.
See, I it's what's weird to me is seeing that box art, because I have the steelbook and I'm just so used to the steelbook for the PS4 version.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, one of these days I will sit down and play this game. It's just so fucking long.
I
Okay, god
know
damn it, cut me a break. It's a
it's
big game.
long, and I mean, gameplay wise, it's fantastic. The
I, I
story has issues.
I forget who I was listening to. I was listening to a podcast, and somebody said that them to beat that game without doing any side quests was like 112 hours.
Yeah, and if you're not doing the side quest, you're playing it wrong. So
That's probably why it took him so long, because he was probably level grinding like crazy.
probably,
Um, yeah. So it's just the game is so fucking long. Like I like short games, man. That's why I've put the time I've put into the Sonic Origins collection. But I'm almost done with it.
see, I like shorter games too, but then I also like RPGs, so I'm never gonna win that battle.
You try to pace them out, I think.
Hmm.
Like I think it's the idea is like you have kind of one long game that you're working on, and then as you're working on that, you'll do other smaller games in the middle to kind of break it up.
Yeah, it's the same way how I feel with like a fucking anime, where it's like I'd rather watch like a quick 26er than a fucking One
One
Piece
Piece.
or sorry, Alex, or like an
I,
Attack on Titan or something that's just
you know,
long.
I mean, I'm sure One Piece is good, but I will wait till they do that. Is it Netflix doing that truncated edition?
Oh yeah, the One Piece. I still don't know enough about what's going on there. Um,
Well, from
I've
what from what I know, I thought the idea was they're remaking the anime, but they're trimming it down significantly.
I heard it was either that or they're remaking it, but they're like basing it off the live action series.
I don't know. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Yeah, it's being done for Netflix, which that's a big get for Netflix. Is producing a remake of the One Piece anime called The One Piece. It's starting from the East Blue Saga.
That's like the first saga. So.
Okay, hinting that it might cover more, but this is not confirmed. It's for the 25th anniversary. And yeah, from what I've heard, they are going to trim it down. Like, was like what the anime said, what, like 1,000 episodes or something crazy?
Oh, way over that by now.
Yeah. And I think they have said that they're gonna try to like make it shorter so that more people could actually get into it.
Yeah,
because that is it's become such a meme now that like One Piece is just so fucking long that like I think it kind of prevents more people from getting into it, like me.
what every One Piece fan has told me, other than Alex, because she loves that way more than most people, is you have to get to a certain point and then it just clicks. The problem is though, there's like that's like 100 and something episodes you got to get through.
And isn't there like so many episodes of that show where like nothing happens? Like it's like a flashback, or they're just walking and bullshitting because they caught up to the manga, and it's like I don't want to watch that. Like so I have no interest in that.
From what Alex tells me, it's not nearly as bad as like say like Naruto, which is just fucking like there's legitimate episodes that are flashbacks to the previous episode.
That's bad. That's very bad.
Yeah, Naruto, Shippuden, and Bleach are probably the most infamous when it comes to like bad filler in an anime.
Yeah, but it's just too much, man. It's too much. I have One Piece Odyssey over here, which is probably how I will introduce myself to the series. Is play this little guy here. I hear it's good. I hear it's a good game.
Alex really liked it, and Alex doesn't really play a lot of games, so
or RPGs for that matter.
Well, she plays Pokemon in Persona.
Does Pokemon count as an RPG?
It's like baby's first RPG these days.
Yeah. Like Persona's an RPG, 1,000%. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. One Piece Odyssey. Look, just checking Steam real quick. See what people are saying. I feel like it's so easy to find people just be like mixed, like every fucking like recent reviews mixed, or
Well, a lot of those reviews are like, I don't like One Piece, so 2 out of 5. And it's like that. Okay.
Yeah. But also I think just because I think it's like a bigger budget game, people are more critical of it. Because it might have been Dave's Discord, or it was another Discord where there was a discussion about how indie games are kind of put on a pedestal, that they're kind of like overrated in a lot of ways because they seem like more legit than like AAA games. You know what I mean? It's something that I feel is similar to say in like the music world. Like if it's like an underground band doing something, it's considered more real than like a mainstream pop artist or whatever. You know what I mean? When at the end of the day, I think it's all art, right? And there's a sense of people wanting to prop up the underdog, like be like, I'm here for like, the smaller guy. But in a way, it's doing that, I think, can sometimes hurt indie games as well, like treating them as like this is the only bastion of like good game design, or the only good games now are indie games. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, no, they're not.
There's a lot of indie games now which are just, it's the same thing where it's like a cinematic artsy platformer, and I'm like, it's fine, but it's like they're all the same now.
I like some of those, but you have to have something that makes it stand out. Like if you're, I mean, like Limbo was like an early example of that, right? And it worked because it was something new, it was something fresh, right? And then, I mean, one of those designers, one of the guys who worked on it recently made a game called Cocoon, which is completely different from Limbo. Like it's top down, and it has it does more of like, say, the Dark Souls thing, where it tells its story through like the environment and kind of things like that. Like it's a lot of visual storytelling. And it's much more like puzzle oriented and all that. And it's really cool, and it's different. Like you wouldn't think the guy who did Limbo did this kind of thing.
Like,
but that's where indie games can really be a benefit is, it's a smaller production, but it allows for potentially more creative ideas.
oh yeah,
Sure, but we're hitting that point with indie games where it's becoming like there's becoming a formula, like the indie game formula, and as you said, a lot of them are starting to just be that, and maybe we're not at that point where people can see through those cracks now. So I
yeah.
don't know.
Like one of my favorite ones of all time is a platformer called Thomas Was Alone, and you literally just play as a bunch of colored pixels, like squares. But the big thing with it is like it's got this really interesting story and narration, and like it's all puzzle platforming, and
Yeah.
it's just a really fun game that I bought on a whim because it was on sale for $1 on PSN at one point.
I mean, that's the power of indie games. They can make them so dirt cheap that you're just like, yeah, I'll try it out, and
Oh
then
yeah,
it becomes something really fucking cool. Like, I
yeah.
don't does Journey count as an indie game? Because I love Journey.
At the time, yeah, because it was made by an independent studio. I think Sony funded it though, so it's a little bit there's a bit of a sketch. So it's a little gray area there.
Yeah, because that's a game I love to death as well. A really cool indie game. I like Firewatch quite a bit. I remember enjoying Stanley Parable the first time.
Stanley Parable is a one and doneer, but it is a very fascinating one and doneer.
Well, I know they've done like they did that like what was it, that remaster or whatever that added like new stuff into it. I've been meaning to check that out.
I actually need to boot my copy of that up because I can actually get the achievement "Don't play for 10 years" now. So
There you go. So yeah, it's just yeah, I saw that conversation about indie games and I thought it was interesting
hmm.
because yeah, I think there is a truth to that. Like some people really putting indie games on a pedestal that they don't necessarily deserve.
I've
Like just
noticed
because just because you're an indie game doesn't mean you're special. You know what I mean?
I've noticed a bit of a trend recently with a lot of indie games where we're now getting like deconstructions of like gaming ideas. Like the most famous deconstruction of recent time is probably Doki Doki Literature Club.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite indie games of all time.
Hmm. Just a deconstruction of the visual novel genre, which I get not everyone likes that game, but I did enjoy my it. That's also kind of a one and doneer because once you've experienced it, it's kind of
It's fun to see other people experience it who never have, so you can kind of bounce it off of them.
yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those games that like I bought the physical copy on Switch to kind of support the dev
Oh yeah.
because I'm here for it. But have I played it on my Switch? No.
No, because I've already played it once, and it's like you once you know what happens, it's like it loses.
And with Plus having the virtual desktop, I think it kind of takes the immersion out of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was one of those games that like you really had to have been there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was there when it like dropped and everyone was talking about it. I'm like, what the fuck is up with this? It was free, so I was like, hey, let me mess around with it. And you're like, what's the big deal? And everyone's like, hang in there.
Yeah,
You'll know when the twist happens. And I'm like, okay, I'm expecting a twist.
I think
And then it
I
happens,
yeah
and then I'm like, okay. I guess we're going there now. And then
I
the game just completely goes off the rails. And
yeah
watching our pal Danny play it on stream, it was like it had been years since I had seen it in full. So re-experiencing it was a lot of fun.
hmm.
So
Just the shock, especially like if you get like the Natsuki neck snap like event, which is
oh
always like
god,
holy fuck,
that always freaks me out. Holy shit.
or you get like demonic Yuri in the note the poem making section, which is like extremely rare. And I've gotten it once. I got it once, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
I never got it, but I've like seen it. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's just
And then
so.
what was that game that essentially? I don't think it came out like it may have come out right after that. It tried to do the Doki Doki thing and it didn't work. Was it like that? Was it like Baldi's Math or some shit like that?
Oh, Baldi's Basics in
Basics. Yeah. Did that come out after Doki Doki?
it was after that was more of a fucking like meme game though.
Yeah, I didn't like it because some people were like, "Oh, it's trying to do the Doki Doki thing," and I'm like, maybe like a teeny bit, but maybe it was like influenced by it and was trying to be maybe more of a meme thing. Like it wasn't actually trying to say something, quote unquote.
To me,
Um,
that was a streamer bait game, like because they knew streamers would play that and eat it up.
yeah, and even then, a lot of the streamers were like, "Eh." They're
I
like,
yeah, like
It was. It's not a great game."
other than Markiplier, who made that his like shtick. Like most people played it once and that was it.
But it feels like Markiplier likes every game he plays.
Markiplier likes to get really into the games, which more power to him, honestly.
I I like Markiplier. He seems like
Yeah,
he seems like a nice, sweet guy. You
yeah.
know.
It's actually funny because like the Game Grumps actually played Baldi's Basics like recently, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we never played this, so fuck it, why not?" And Dan was like, "What the fuck is this?" And Aaron's like, "Just play it."
Well, because Dan doesn't keep track of anything.
Well,
Like
that's like
he lives in his bubble.
well, he's a rock star and he just does this on the side.
Yeah, he lives in his bubble of like listening to Rush all the fucking time. So
Yeah.
he doesn't. So his reaction to Doki Doki is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, like his like I was expecting a sexy twist, but then it was not a sexy twist.
I mean, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. Oh man, I love how like he foreshadows so much in the first half, and then the second it happens, he's like, I don't trust this game anymore.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Uh,
So
so we had mentioned it kind of off screen before we started, but so that Doctor Disrespect stuff is
yeah, we can get topical, I guess. Yeah, Mr. Doctor Disrespect. I'm sure the people listening to this show know who this is. So even if you've never watched him, I think you know who he is. It was what 2020. He got banned from Twitch.
yeah, and it was like one of the biggest mysteries because nobody knew why, and then we
Yeah,
just
it was
found out.
totally hidden, and then people were trying to find out, and now we know why.
And the best part is he fucking just admitted it. Like it was like, dude.
Yeah, but he's trying to be like, I'm good because like no criminal wrongdoing happened. They didn't find anything. It was the Drake thing when Drake had his response to Not Like Us, where he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like I've like if I'd done this, I'd have been arrested by now." That kind of. It's like that's not how you should say it. The whole it's not a crime if you don't get caught. That's basically what you're saying. So it's like, well, what the fuck were you doing that we don't know about? I
Yeah.
don't want to imply that Mr. Disrespect. I think they're going to revoke his doctorate. I don't know if he actually, has done other horrible shit. I have no fucking idea. I mean, I remember the whole meme of when he cheated on his wife. I remember that. Like that was
Yeah.
kind of funny, because like that became like such a big meme. And then he went on stream and like did like a serious stream, about it, which watching it now is hilarious because he like still plays his intro and has all the hype shit, and then it just cuts to him trying to be serious. And Dr. Disrespect, he's one of those like adult men who are just so bad at communicating their feelings without being like really aggressive shitheads. You know what I mean? Where they have to
Yeah.
constantly cuss and just be this very angry, like they're very angry all the time. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like even in real life. And it's just like, bro, like, I'm sorry your dad didn't hug you enough or something. Like I don't know, it's just kind of weird. And he
It's
has a nice big tweet called the Twitch ban, where he makes a little statement about it, which I'm not going to read here,
no.
but basically most of it just reads as him just like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong because they didn't find any wrongdoing. It's like, I don't know if that qualifies, my man.
Yeah, this has been just like the year of like creator implosions, I swear.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
Like they started with the completionist, then Chugga Conroy, and now it's like Jesus Christ, when's it gonna end?
Yeah. And like the comments under this are funny. Like I'm seeing a lot of EDP pictures.
Ugh.
And apparently he keeps editing the word minor in and out of it of
Yeah.
the tweet. Apparently
He doesn't realize people can like look it back and
they
see
can
that
see
stuff.
that shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the internet, buddy. People see it.
I think Mudahar said it best. He's like, he could have just deleted the entire thing and just made a new tweet, but no, he had to edit it, which makes it even more
It's
obvious.
so bad. Yeah. Ugh.
It's like it's like I swear every week it's like another one. Just
To be fair, I always kind of got sus vibes off of him anyways. I was like, something's off. But
yeah.
I never would have guessed he did this.
No, I always just thought he was a weirdo, which I mean he is, but no, I didn't think he was this kind
Yeah.
of weirdo.
Yeah, like the character worked, like it's like he streams I think just on YouTube now and it still gets like big numbers on there. And
Uh,
and I don't
yeah,
bigger he still gets pretty decent numbers for what he's doing. So
I was gonna say I don't know how much longer he'll be streaming on YouTube, but
I mean YouTube may kick him off. I don't know. But like I mean just looking at his YouTube channel real quick, his streams, he still gets like roughly 500,000 no matter what he's doing. So
yeah, he's either gonna get kicked off of YouTube and he's gonna go to Kick, or Kick actually
well,
might actually kick him.
Well, Kick's about to kick the bucket if we're being real here. If you've been following what's going on with them.
I have no idea. They have enough money to sponsor a Formula One team, apparently.
Yeah, but let's just say a streaming platform being run by a bunch of crypto bros isn't being managed well. Who would have thought?
It's actually like a gambling company, apparently.
Yeah, it's about the same level. I mean, crypto's gambling. Let's be real.
It's a weird thing, like whatever the hell stake is and all this shit.
Yeah, it's all bad. That's why no. That's
still somehow not as embarrassing as what's the other one? The third platform.
There's a third one?
Yeah, it's not not Mixer. It's
no, Mixer's dead.
yeah, Mixer's long dead. There's another one that like where Keemstar is these days. I can't remember what it's called, but that one's also bad.
I mean, that's bad when it's like marquee streamer is Keemstar. Like that's not a good sign.
I mean, I enjoy listening to Keemstar, not because he's good, just because he's fucking hilarious, because of how fucking cringy he is. But
God, he's fucking weird.
I mean, the Lolcow podcast.
He still does Drama
funny.
Alert on YouTube. So
yeah, I mean, the Lolcow podcast has been the funniest thing, just because that's just hilarious to me. Like that he's paying these two to just basically ruin their lives. But
it's just awful. So many awful people on here. But see, it's just it is what it is, and YouTube is also why the meritocracy doesn't exist. Like the meritocracy is a fucking bullshit lie. Like because there are so many fucking dumbasses who just fail their way into being really successful and will never understand it, or they just know the right people, and it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit luck. Like, I mean, hell, Superpod, they had that viral ass tweet, right?
Yep. I still find that on Reddit every now and then.
Yeah, dumb luck. And then I asked Aaron, I'm like, did it boost the pod at all? He's like, yeah, a little bit.
It got them a shit ton of Twitter followers. Like, I know that.
Yeah, but that didn't really translate into
well, no, because Elon bought the service and then it kind of ruined that.
Yeah. And it just feels like now with like YouTube and all this stuff, it's just harder and harder to just genuinely gain an audience anymore.
Well, you either have to
the algorithm isn't really toted or isn't really geared towards like smaller people trying to rise up. And there's just so many people doing this stuff now.
Oh yeah.
That it's hard to weed through the cracks. You need like a weird gimmick like we do, talking about a fucking random ass console.
Honestly, yeah, because like there's so many gaming centric podcasts and you need to really have a gimmick to really get off the ground. Like it's tough.
Very tough.
Oh boy. Yeah, that was the drama bomb section of this episode.
I hope you all enjoyed it.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I've never been on Kick, so I have no desire to ever get on there because all I've ever heard is just bad stuff.
Oh, and I know it mostly just because that's where all like the freaking Twitch banned streamers go.
Yeah, basically. The only other thing I can say is that Disney's Epic Mickey Rebrushed got its release date today.
Oh, did it? Nice.
It's coming out September 24th, which I believe is 2 days before Echoes of Wisdom.
I still cannot get over the fact that War Inspector worked on those games.
That's pretty crazy. I find it crazy this game's getting a remake at all, but I'm glad to see it happening. But
Well, the first
but
one
at,
was considered a decent game. The second one was the one that was kind of the not
yeah,
so
it's just
popular one.
it's just a game I never thought would ever come back, you know. But with THQ Nordic, anything is possible.
They really do like to just pull out like the dredges of like gaming's history and be like,
That
remember this, guys?
but that's what I fucking love about them is that they'll just do is that they're willing to do this shit, you know.
Yeah, like,
So
oh, you guys like SpongeBob? Here, let's remake that game because it's popular.
the game everyone likes, and then we'll do a sequel to it. Like what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that game was kind of brought back because speedrunners really liked it.
Yeah, yeah, that's why. And then they did that Alone in the Dark reboot, which apparently didn't meet expectations, so Embracer shut down the studio that made it.
Yep.
Already, poor guys. Did you play that Alone in the Dark reboot?
I played the demo and I was very.
I mean, the
Uh,
demo was like 15 minutes.
yeah,
It was
it's on.
nothing. I played
I
that
just,
demo. It was nothing.
I just don't want to pay the money for it. That's kind of my thing.
I mean, it's $60, so it's not full price, but
Yeah, it's still more money than I'd like to pay for it right now.
yeah, when it's like $30, I'll give it a shot. Did they make physical? They had to make physical.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see it on the shelf all the time at GameStop.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When it's like when it's physical, like $30, I'll grab it,
Yeah,
and we'll find out. Maybe we'll do a review of it for one of these days.
yeah.
Let's see. Right now on Amazon, it's $47.99. So
That's
it's
still
already
more.
it's
Yeah,
already being marked down though, but
yeah.
not to the price I want.
I'll wait for a sale, like a big sale, and then I'll probably go for it.
I would say maybe Black Friday. That might be the time to get it.
True. Um. Yeah. I mean, there's so many games. There's just too many games now, and that's like kind of the problem with everything.
Yeah, but it is what it is. I think that's the only reason some people like us want a video game crash, just so they can stop making games for like 2 years, and then we can just focus on our backlogs.
Yeah, I just like see like an industry wide shutdown for a couple of years, just to let us catch up, and then
Yeah, which would
not
be
even
funny. That would be so hilarious, but it's obviously not going to happen.
no.
You yourself have to shut down. Where you have to be like, I don't give a shit about new games for a year. I'm just going to play all the old games, which some people can do, but
Yeah. The problem is though, there's always that nagging feeling where you're like, this game will
FOMO.
become yeah, or like this game will become rare if I don't buy it now.
Yeah, certain games you can tell more than others, but
A lot of
you'll never really know.
a lot of those RPGs on like that come out that are like so obscure that like
Especially the Xbox ones.
yeah.
Like one Xbox RPG I got physically because a part of me was like, I have a feeling this will be rare one day. Let me grab it. Is this boy, Scarlet Nexus?
Oh yeah.
It's just I still have yet to play it. I hear it's pretty good though, but
It's some people say it's a better Tales game than Tales of Arise.
I mean, I heard this was Namco trying to make a platinum game.
That
But
works too, I guess.
but like the idea of like this, the physical guy of this becoming, especially like the Xbox physical JRPGs. I'm like, yeah, these are gonna be rare in the future. I think because who the hell's buying these except for me?
Yeah. Or even the Switch has a few bizarre ones. Like
Oh,
I bought it.
yeah. There's a lot of weird, random, expensive Switch games.
I bought a game called The Lost Child for like $10 because it was like apparently a shitty RPG that was just in the bargain bin. And it's like 130 now, according to Game Eye, which is like, when did this happen?
When you weren't looking.
Yeah, or like Baldur's Gate, the Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 collection, which is like almost 100 now.
Yeah, like the physical version of Dust and Elysian Tales, like $130 now. But
Yeah.
I think that was limited run. Or like it's the limited run stuff that becomes super expensive, you know? Like Outlast and Outlast 2 got like a double pack on Switch that's like $300.
I still think the most baffling recent game spike out of nowhere is fucking Bullet Witch, which is like over $100
Yep.
now.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. Well, I think it's with the 360 store shutting down. Like 360 itself is going to have a bit of a resurgence, or it's going to have a bit of a boost.
I'm just like, why Bullet Witch? It's such a mediocre game.
I mean, I agree, but you know, and that's the thing. I have some of the pricey uh 360 games. Like I have Operation Darkness, I have Marvel Ultimate Alliance Gold, I have 50 Cent Blood on the Sand. So I have some of the more, I have Darkest Days, which is becoming pricey now. Like the price I see it for on price trading, I'm like, I did not pay that much for it.
Yeah.
Like that got a spike very recently. So, and that's a bad game, but it's an amazing bad game.
I mean, Bullet Witch is kind of an amazing bad game too, but for different reasons.
Yeah, yeah. So I think 360 is kind of hitting that part where it's going to start becoming like dumb.
Yeah, it's not as dumb as PS3 though. PS3 still has some of the dumbest like rare games,
Yeah,
like weird
I've seen some of those.
the weird
Ugh.
zebra game and the Spider-Man games for some reason.
Yeah. Holy shit. I didn't know wet was so expensive.
Oh, is it? Eef.
Apparently right now it's like 40 and $60.
Whew.
I did not pay that for it. I can tell you that much. It's an all right game. It's all right.
See, I just know Wet is because like Matt McMuscles apparently told the story where that game got him. He got fired from that game for whatever reason.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that story too.
It's bizarre. It was made by Behavior, wasn't it?
Yes, A2M.
Good old Astomouth.
Couldn't agree more, buddy.
Oh boy. Um, bullshit it a bit. Any other topics you want to cover? We're getting close to an hour and a half.
Nothing really I can think of. I didn't sleep too well last night, so my brain's a little mushy.
I got you there.
So the fact you got this much out of me is pretty impressive.
Yeah, we went on this big tangent about Silent Hill and Resident Evil for a bit there.
I mean, for some reason, I've been thinking about Banjo Kazooie the last couple days.
It's a good series.
Yeah, I really need to sit down and play the first one. Maybe it was like when Dre did his like 1998 video and just shit talked Banjo Kazooie, and I'm like, man, there's some people who fucking hate that game. And like, and as somebody who's played it quite a bit, I don't see the hate for it. Like, sure, it's not a perfect game, but just the vitriol hate I see for some people, I'm like, is it that bad? I think it was that bad.
Well, it's kind of like how like Donkey Kong 64 is getting like a renaissance lately, and I still don't really like that game.
Oh no, that game's rough. I've tried playing it. I'm just like, it could have been fantastic. It was almost there.
It's just too much collectathon.
That I agree with. So, yeah, I'm not seeing Wet in my Did I buy this on eBay? Maybe I didn't. 'Cause for some reason, I thought I bought it on eBay. Maybe I didn't. So I'd have to check. But I know I didn't pay more than like $10 for it.
Yeah, because that game used to be like stereotypical bargain bin.
Yeah, and I kind of paid bargain bin price for it. So I don't know. I mean, I have sold some of my 360 games, but I kept. It was just kind of the smaller ones I was willing to get rid of. A lot of the bigger ones I kept, like the Simpsons game, because I paid like $45 for that game.
That's a better game than people give it credit for.
It was fine. It's no hit and run, but it's fine.
No,
Like X-Men Origins Wolverine is like really skyrocketing, and I'm like, I did not pay $61 for that game. I paid like $12 for it.
I wonder why that one's. I wonder if it's because of the movie.
Yeah, well, and it's always had a reputation of being a game people like.
Well, it's one of those games that's better than the movie it's based off of.
Yeah, though I've played it and I got bored. It kind of bored me. I don't know. Like it's not bad, but I feel like it's so just by the numbers kind of a game. It doesn't really do much to stick out for me.
I think the big thing is like now that we have like legitimately good superhero games, that one's just people are realizing it's not that great.
For its time, it was fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's like the Hulk Ultimate Destruction game that was like
that's a cool game.
The one that basically became Prototype.
Yeah, and Prototype's better than that game, anyways, because Prototype took that formula and did something original with it. So,
yeah, I still remember the Yahtzee review, like where he reviewed both that and Infamous, and he actually like challenged the developers to draw the opposite main character in a bikini so he can see who would win. I think he still, yeah, they both did. Insomniac and not Insomniac, Sucker Punch and Radical both contributed, and it ended up being a draw because he thought both were good. Um,
I'm impressed that they did it.
I mean, they were good sports about it because they were very similar games at the time. I unfortunately I think Infamous kind of won that battle, but
Oh yeah, because we only got 2 prototypes, and then we got how many Infamous games?
3, technically 4 if you count First Light as its own game.
Yeah. So I've never played the Infamous games.
They're the best X-Men games you'll ever play.
I'll take your word for it. Does Radical? They don't exist anymore, do they?
They technically do, but they're like a skeleton team that doesn't do anything anymore, from what I've heard.
That's sad.
All because the game didn't meet Activision's unrealistic expectations.
Well, Prototype 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. As of 2022, all that was left of Radical Entertainment was a team of 6 employees whose subsequent work would be credited under Activision Vancouver. Despite that, it was among the studios named in Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. So they were still listed. And then I remember one of the games people were throwing around when the acquisition happened was, oh, they could do Prototype 3. And it's
Yeah,
like,
what? Who? The 6
what?
of them?
Well, apparently it was like pitched, but yeah, because Prototype 2 didn't. So I haven't played Prototype 2, and I've only played like maybe an hour of Prototype 1. So
The biggest problem with Prototype 2 is a better game in pretty much every way, graphically, gameplay wise. The problem is they did a complete character assassination of Alex Mercer, and the new character John Heller is, I hate to say,
not
but they,
good.
yeah, he's very stereotypical. I'm gonna leave it at that.
I mean, I'll take your word for it. Do I have the prototype? I might have the prototype bundle. I can't remember if I bought them or not. Let me check. While we're still chit chatting here.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think Prototype 1's biggest complaint was that it looked like a PS2 game, which, I mean, yes,
Yeah,
but
but that's not a bad thing.
no, I mean,
A
the
lo-
game was still fun. So,
yeah, yeah, there it is. It's $50 for the 2 of them. Includes both with their DLCs.
hmm.
So, yeah, I'll add it to the list when it gets cheap. I'll check it out. Which, yeah, like seeing like for some reason Callisto Protocol's up on here. That got hit into a Game Pass recently.
Oh,
So I may actually. I'm not surprised when Callisto didn't sell as well as they were wanting, didn't review as well as they were wanting. I'm like, oh, that's going to hit Game Pass eventually.
yeah. It's
They
like,
can,
please play it.
yeah, and I will. There's PO'd right there. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah,
So stay tuned, listeners. In the future, we will be doing a review of PO Definitive Edition.
I gotta pick that up.
Yeah, it's $20, which isn't bad, but if there's a big sale and it's like $10, then it's a must grab at that point.
Oh yeah,
So
that guy that yelled at us for not liking it might actually be happy.
I hope he's still listening. Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah, there's not a lot of stuff going on as far as sales at the moment. Oh, Impossible Lair is $6.
Oh, nice.
Do you see they're remaking Ukulele?
Yeah, which I was kind of like, okay, I
Yuka
guess
Yuka Replayly, which is a cute title.
it's a cute title. I honestly, I thought the sequel was better, the side-scrolling
Yeah,
one.
yeah. Well, apparently the first the remake of Ukulele 1, it's apparently they're like going back in and fixing all the issues people had with the first one. So
Well, I mean, the biggest problem with it was it was a fine game. It was just so lifeless.
yeah, I mean, hey, the remake may fix it.
Yeah, wait and see on that.
Yeah, it's one I will be curious to see when it comes out because it's interesting to me. Platonic hasn't made more. Like they did Ukulele, and then they did the Impossible Lair, and
Which was very
then
well received and like did pretty well from what I heard, which that's what
yeah,
surprised me even more.
yeah, because I think Ukulele like it was hyped as hell, but it didn't hit the way I think they were expecting it to.
Well, I think the big problem was they hyped because people really wanted another Banjo Kazooie, and then it came out and it's like it was very much like Banjo Kazooie, but it really it was missing a lot of the stuff that made people like Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah, like it. People wanted it to be Banjo 3E so bad, um, but it
Yeah.
wasn't going to live up to that expectation.
No.
So this is why it didn't happen that way. And I think people put way too high of expectations on the game itself. And I'm sure one of these days I'll sit down and play it properly because I'd be curious to the deal. But I feel like I need to play Banjo 1 and 2E before I play Ukulele so I can have that comparison.
Yeah. Honest.
Yeah. And then Impossible Air looks really cool.
It's like Donkey. It's basically just Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those guys are still there. So, but yeah, like Playtonic. Oh yeah, Playtonic. They're more of a publisher than a developer, really.
Which is bizarre because they developed their first game, but Team 17 published it, which is
yeah.
weird.
And then they've published stuff like Demon Turf, Little Gator Game. So I mean, some stuff that's like done decently well. So I don't know. And yeah, Ukulele. It just has PC right now. They haven't specified consoles. I'm assuming it's going to come to every console.
They're probably looking for a publisher. That's probably the big thing.
Probably. Yeah, my guess is maybe Team 17 doesn't want to jump in on that again.
My guess is Team 17 is busy like making some other bizarre game. Like Team 17 has one of the weirdest fucking like developing histories. Like, I mean, they made that awful Army Men game that we'll cover at some point.
The most recent game is a game called Killer Frequency. Never heard of it.
They made that other Leisure Suit Larry game that I found recently. That's apparently really bad.
The 360 one?
Yeah, box office bust.
Oh yeah, that game fucking sucks. It's trash. Listeners, do you want us to review it for the show as like a random side episode? Because I would be down to play that for the show because it is hot garbage.
It has the most appropriate name for a game ever because it is exactly what it ended up being.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Team 17. They do all the Worms games. That's
what they're known for. But then they make all this other weird shit.
Yeah. So yeah, I would be down to play that game because I don't think I would play it any other way.
Yeah. I mean,
I bought it because it was dirt cheap, and I remember seeing it, and then I tried playing it, and I'm like, oh boy.
Like I bought both that and Magna Cum Laude because they were super cheap, but apparently Magna Cum Laude is some people like, but nobody likes box office bust.
Magna Cum Laude, it retains some of the charm of the original Leisure Suit Larry games, whereas box office bust has none of it.
No,
like it's all gone. They tried to make it like an open world sandbox game. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
And they put platforming elements in, which is just weird.
Bad platforming too. Like, what the hell, guys?
Yeah, there's a reason why the creator of the series wants nothing to do with either of those games.
I don't blame him at all. But you know what's crazy? It was developed by Team 17. Do you know who published it?
It's some weird publisher.
Well, the name is Funsta, but it's just a brand name over Codemasters.
The racing game guys, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know them for racing games, but
Well, I know them for racing games and making action replay.
Trying to think, what's the Codemasters game I know that's not a racing game? What's the one I know? See, I'm looking through their thing. Oh, Overlord. That's what it is. Overlord.
Oh, okay.
That Pikmin clone. Oh yeah, they did the Clive Barker's Jericho on 360. Yeah. I remember that game. You remember that game? Turning Point Fall of Liberty. That was them. Oh yeah, they did some of the. I think it was like the more recent James Pond games.
Yeah, they've been doing some interesting stuff over there.
That's a way to put it.
And then EA bought them, and now they're just the Formula One team now.
Are they good?
The Formula One games were good until EA started publishing them, and then they started going to shit. So
fucking EA, man.
Oh boy. But,
yeah, they did that Operation Flashpoint game, which has like a really fucking cool name, but the game just doesn't match it. It's Operation Flashpoint Dragon Rising. Like, dude, that sounds cool.
what a metal as fuck name.
Yeah, and then you play it, and it's just like a C tier Tom Clancy game.
Yeah.
What can you do?
But yeah, so we've hit about an hour and a half. I feel like
we've bullshitted enough.
I feel like this is probably a good point to
for like the 10 people who will listen who made it this far. Hey guys.
I will.
We love you.
I will. I know he's there. Um,
He'll be commenting at us on Discord about it.
he'll be correcting us on some stupid thing that we got
Yes,
wrong.
yes,
Uh,
yes. Well, let me know if you made it this far. I don't know if he watches or just listens. He probably just listens.
Probably.
Okay, because if he watched, I'd be like, "What shirt am I wearing right now?" But if I say that, maybe he'll check the video version. So, Will, check the video version at this time and tell me what shirt am I wearing.
Yeah.
We'll see if he actually does it. He probably won't.
But yeah. But I guess yeah, so next week we're gonna be playing golf. That'll be fun.
Hitting the greens, kids. We're hitting the links.
I'm really excited to talk about some of these games, but some of them I'm also kind of like, I don't know how much we're gonna say about. But
I'm gonna find something to say about all of them. Don't you worry,
yeah.
because you know me. I like my sports games, and golf games are one that I particularly enjoy. So I will find something to say about all of these. I promise.
Yeah. I'll have to make 5 separate. Okay, no, let's whatever. I'm tired. But you know, okay, must play. Okay, stay away.
Eh, if they're different enough too, I guess. But we'll
I
see.
mean, 3 of them are basically the same game, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, look at all these honkers right here. Look at all these. Goddamn.
Nice.
It's gonna be fucking crazy time. It's sitting over here next to my copy of Sonic 06 that I didn't beat, and my copy of Spyro Hero's Tale that fucking doesn't work, asshole.
Yeah.
That's another story.
Yeah, we'll save that for next week. But anyways, guys, once again, thanks for joining us on the 3DO Experience. The 3DO Experience can be found on all your major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple and Spotify. You can also find us over at the Superpod Network. Be sure to check them out, along with a whole bunch of other shows like Superpod Saga, Super Ghost Radio, A Novel Console, Fine Time, Gaming Together, just to name a few. If I forgot anybody, I'm sorry.
Bar Silence.
Bar Silence.
The Elder Trolls.
There we go. Oh, and Friday Night Gamecast.
Friday Night Gamecast.
Plus the other GNC shows. I'm not going to plug them.
Who fuck cares about them? Kidding. Oh, well, kidding.
Oh, and Retro Rehab. I think that's everybody. I feel bad if I forgot somebody. Yeah. But also, you can find all of our links at linktree/the Games. And other than that, guys, praise the Dude Meyer, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye-bye.